So week 4 of the lockdown, it feels a bit like month 4. I'm sure to many of you, and particularly those of you who've got young children or are living in a house with no garden, or those who are on their own and isolated and lonely. It's been a very, very tough time. Latest data, 11 deaths here in Norfolk in the last 24 hours, 190 deaths in hospitals now in total. Of course, there will also be additional deaths in care homes, possibly some who have died much earlier than they might have expected, or those who weren't terminally ill at all. So the full numbers growing, sadly and steadily, but it does look as though we've turned the corner nationally. London now, the numbers are coming down, and we hope that within a week or two that pattern will begin to show here in Norfolk. But we're going to have to keep on committing to this lockdown to make sure that we do get this under control. And then, as the government have indicated, May the 8th there'll be a statement, and hopefully we'll begin to see some easing of the lockdown then, to try and get as many people back to work and back to normal as we possibly can. I continue to work on the 3 things I said I would through this crisis. Firstly, helping make sure that the most vulnerable in Mid Norfolk get the help that they need, and there's been an extraordinary effort organised by the district councils and local community groups, parish councils. Secondly, helping support the leaders in Norfolk, in the Norfolk Resilience Forum, the Gold and Silver Command, to pull together this incredible operation, this civic emergency response. And then thirdly, to make sure that ministers in London and civil servants are aware of the reality here on the ground, in particular in 2 key areas, on PPE and on business and small business support. Some good news, after a bit of logistical hiccups with the PPE, now all hospitals, all GP surgeries in Norfolk have got the PPE they need, I'm reliably told by the local NHS and Public Health England. And the care homes now are in the front line. Many of those have got PPE, not all enough. Some haven't got all items they need, and some are very short, and we've got to make sure that we get that to them. And I'm delighted to see that Lord Dayton, who oversaw the Olympic planning and preparation, a logistical wizard, has taken control of that, appointed by the Secretary of State. We saw 140,000 gowns arrive from Myanmar yesterday, and hopefully under his leadership that system of distributing PPE will increase. I check in each few days with the Norfolk command system, and we've now got 72 hours of PPE in Norfolk in supply. So any institution that is without simply has to contact Norfolk County Council, and they will get the PPE out to you. We've also seen some good news on the business support side. I've been worried that many of the smaller businesses, the self-employed, and those who civil servants in London might not have thought about when they were designing the scheme, were going to struggle and suffer. And I'm still working with the local enterprise partnership, and those who civil servants in London might not have thought about when they were designing the scheme, were going to struggle and suffer. And I'm still working with the local enterprise partnership and ministers to make sure that everybody who needs it gets the help they need. I think the figure now is 12 billion has been distributed by government to local authorities for the small business support scheme, and 6 billion of that has now been distributed out to local companies, and a huge amount of work is going on to get that distributed now as we speak. And yesterday the government's staff furloughing scheme opened properly for business. 140,000 businesses registered in the first 24 hours, and that's paying 80% of wages, capped at 2,500 a month. And again, I'm worried that we make sure every business that's eligible applies, so that we reduce the damage of this crisis and can ensure a quicker recovery. In addition to those big issues, I'm focusing on making sure that the care homes across the county have got the support and the help that they need. They are on the front line every bit as much as the hospitals, and they need that support. I was delighted to help provide some PPE via a company whose chief executive lives in Mid Norfolk, Aquapack. Thank you very much to the team there and to Mark Lapping, the CEO, for getting thousands of units out to the local NHS in Norfolk. These are disposable plastic laundry bags in which PPE equipment, doctor's equipment, can be washed and reused. I'm also working closely with the LEP to make sure that we do everything we can to support a strong business recovery after this. And the Norfolk Enterprise Forum that I set up through the Norfolk Way, this year we've had to cancel, but we're working with the LEP and Tech East to make it a digital event to try and help support digital connectivity amongst small businesses and use the digital economy to drive a faster recovery. Last two things, we've also got a huge number of charities in the area that are struggling and need help. I'm delighted the government got the argument that charities do need support and the Norfolk Community Foundation is providing it. But please, if you're a small charity, do contact them because that money is there for you. And lastly, tourism. It's still our number one industry here in Norfolk, and it's really important that we make sure that through this lockdown at Easter and the May bank holidays, normally the peak of our tourist season, beginning of season, that we get a strong message out that Norfolk isn't closed for business for tourism long term just through this. So I've got together with the EDP and other organisations to see if we can't get a campaign going with some high profile Norfolk figures, making clear that Norfolk is a welcoming county, and as soon as this is over, we will welcome all of those tourists and visitors back. Tom and Aaron and Elliot in my office are all working from home. We haven't shut down the operation. We've just had to close the office door. We get hundreds of emails a day. We're doing our best to deal with them all, triaging them. So please bear with us if it's taken a bit longer than usual. Thank you for the incredible patience and support and community activity that communities across Mid Norfolk are demonstrating. It's shown the very best of our strong community in Norfolk, and there are so many things when this is over that we'll be able to look back on and take as positives. And that rediscovery of the sense of neighbourliness and support for each other must surely be one of them. Stay safe, stay well, and for the next few weeks, unfortunately, we're going to have to stay inside. Please, if I can help in any way, do contact me. Go to the website, www.georgefreeman.co.uk, or email me, george.freeman.mp@parliament.uk.